Hi there, this is Kevin Carlson, and I'm here with Warehouse Mouse. Hello! And you're watching a podcast where nostalgia comes alive. It's Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. Cheese! It's not the line, Warehouse Mouse, it's roll it. Roll it!
Welcome to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, the podcast where nostalgia comes alive. Since July of 2021, Jake and his friends have interviewed professionals in the worlds of acting, directing, writing, puppeteering, and many more. Who will they be chatting with in this week's interview? Find out in this Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show episode.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, where nostalgia comes alive. Happy here with us, as always. I'm your host, Jake Deffinbaugh, with me as always, Bixby, and mapping with his newest pal of the Bingel Puppet Troupe, Professor Brandon. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Good night, everybody. Yes, this is Professor Brandon's debut. Yes, indeed. I'm happy to be here. This is my first one. Oh, this is going to get weird. How you doing, Jakey?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, Professor Brandon.
Happy
Chris,
to be here.
what do you have for today?
So our guests for today, they co-founded Monkey Boys Productions, which built and designed the puppets for the series Helpsters. And they've also worked on projects ranging from Blues Room, Sesame Street, Johnny and the Sprites, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and we're here to talk about those and some other things as well. Here they are, Marc Petrosino and Michael Latini. Happy to have you here.
Hey guys, thanks for having us.
Yeah, hi everyone.
A pleasure.
Pleasure.
Happy to have you here. So for those who don't know you, could you tell our audience a bit about yourselves and what you do?
Sure. Monkey Boys Productions, we started the company in 06, so 17 years ago. Michael and I and two other gentlemen, Russell Tucker and Scott Hitz, were all puppeteers in New York City at the time. And we realized that in order to have work, you had to kind of make your own work. So we decided to start a company. We were very lucky. We got a nice boost to start from Marty Robinson. I think, have you guys interviewed Marty?
Oh yeah, he's a good
Yes,
friend.
we
of
have.
ours.
He's
Yes, we
wonderful.
have.
Yeah, he's great. He's been wonderfully generous to us in our careers, and he subcontracted our company to build some puppets for him. And then over the years, Scott and Russ both left the company, and Mike and I continued it on, and we expanded. We originally were just a puppet company, but then we realized we could make props and practical effects and other elements, creatures and costumes, using the same technique. So Monkey Boy, that's a long way to say that. Monkey Boys today makes puppets, props, practical effects, creatures and costumes, and entertainment. We create our own productions as well.
Nice.
Very nice. Very nice. So before beginning your careers in puppetry, what was your background like and how did you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up doing from about the age of 12, I was doing both backstage technical theater and also on-stage performance. But then also my dad had a home remodeling business, so I was working with him in construction every summer. And throughout high school and then into college, I went to college for jewelry, metals, and computer-aided design. And that's when I kind of realized that lots of the things I loved growing up as a kid, like the Muppets and Sesame Street and Fraggle Rock and Jurassic Park and Jaws and Star Wars and all of these things had a through line that was puppetry, and that puppetry fit really well into all the things I love to do, like perform and also do technical backstage work. So I pretty much just started telling people I wanted to become a puppeteer and was lucky enough to get a volunteer position at the O'Neill Puppetry Conference up in Connecticut. And that's where I first started meeting professional puppeteers and working with them. And then it was just a slow, steady climb of working more and more and then starting the company and working more and more.
Nice. Marc, what about you?
Like Mike, I grew up a fan of the Muppets and Fraggle Rock and all of the practical effects movies from the 80s and 90s. And I dreamed of being a puppeteer, but I realized there were only about, 5 or 6 guys who were the puppeteers at that point. It was very homogenous. So I went to school originally for science, one of my other passions. Partway through that, though, I realized I wasn't as passionate about it as I had originally thought, and found a school in Ithaca College where you could create your own major, and I created a puppetry degree, drawing from their theater and television and speech programs, and then, like Mike, volunteered up at the O'Neill Puppetry Conference, and then that led to auditions and workshops and experience, and really have been very lucky to work for many years now as a puppeteer.
Nice. So I'm kind of curious. So did the both of you have any like favorite Muppets or Muppet projects growing up?
Absolutely. I really loved Snuffy,
Oh yeah,
Snuffleupagus. I love Fozzie. He's such a complex character, and melancholy, even though he's supposed to be the funny Muppet. Um, I grew up loving Jaws, and even though that was a mechanical disaster, that the movie itself was great, and the mechanical shark puppet was effective because they limited how much was seen.
Hmm.
I love the Dark Crystal.
Oh
the
yeah.
the mystics
That's
in
a
that
great one.
just intrigued me. Yeah, I mean all of the puppets in that. That was, I think, the first feature-length film to be exclusively puppets. There were no
Hmm.
humans or any other elements in it. It's all puppets.
Definitely, definitely. Michael, what about you?
Yeah. I mean, similarly, uh, I mean, everything Mark said, and then also I remember just loving Fraggle Rock so much. I think I caught it in the beach in between when it came off HBO and maybe onto more basic cable or something like that, or maybe I was lucky enough to have HBO at the time. But I just loved the different scale of the puppets and how they were able to tell the story with all the different sizes of puppets and all of that kind of stuff. And then Labyrinth, like Ludo specifically from Labyrinth, those big sized walk around puppets, as we often call them, they were always some of my favorites.
Yes, but both are wonderful movies. Yeah, I personally like Labyrinth better than that Crystal, but it's very tough to choose the two. Now for Mark here, one of your earliest projects as a puppeteer was on the Comedy Central series Crank Yankers. Oh God, that's a throwback in of itself. Uh-huh.
Right.
Yikes. Can you share any of your memories from working on that show?
I only worked a couple days on that. That was my first professional television puppetry job, and that's where I met Paul McGinnis, a wonderful puppeteer, and a bunch of other puppeteers that I now call friends and colleagues. It was wild. They because it was all prank calls to realistic specific places, they would make parody versions of those. So like instead of 7-Eleven, I think it was like 812 was the name of the store, and they had all these fake products on the shelves, and I can't tell you the names of the products because I'm sure they would not get past your censors. Some of the dirty names they put on there, but it was a lot of fun, and it was a great eye opener and a great trial by fire. So
Nice.
Awesome. So for you, Mark, who are some of your favorite characters to perform
to
on Crank
perform,
Yankers or in general?
yeah, I mean, boy, I've been so lucky to perform so many, and there's a lot that I really really love. But probably the two closest to my heart are Audrey 2. Michael and I have each performed Little Shop over 1,000 times a piece.
Wow.
Wow.
And you can't do that if you don't love the show. You just
No.
would go crazy.
Right.
And Audrey 2 is just so much fun. It's so collaborative. You're working with often multiple puppeteers and the voice of the plant, and it's such a great character, and she gets to do everything. She gets to be seductive, and she gets to be, you know, begs and bullies, and it's a great dramatic character. The other character I really have enjoyed performing is Sorrow, from Madame Butterfly, when we did that at the Met in the opera. It was a Bunraku style 3-person puppet, and it was very physically challenging, but it was also very rewarding because you got to play this child and just react to everything as a child would, which they're never going to hire me to be a child as an actor.
Right.
So it's a great way to explore and be something you never would be again.
Definitely.
Mhm.
So for you, Michael, your puppetry career began playing Bear in the Big Blue House live tour. What was it like doing that?
It was really special and amazing. I mean, luckily having become friends with Noel McNeil, it's so great to have started kind of my performance puppetry career with that show. Getting to lip sync to his voice 7 days a week pretty much was great. And that puppet alone, like I said before, these like walk around puppets are still my favorite, the large scale puppets. It's just such an effective way of using puppetry, and everyone is so responsive to it. Bear is really awesome. Even though he takes a toll on your body physically, it's a super fun puppet. And then echoing, Audrey 2 is also a similarly amazing puppet that I just love to perform.
Definitely.
Definitely. In terms of the Bear tour, what were some of your favorite locations to tour?
Oh gosh, I've blended all of my touring into one big trip in my brain, so it's a little hard to remember specifics, but gosh, Denver I've always enjoyed.
Oh,
We also did get to go to Hawaii. That was
Oh,
amazing.
nice.
Yep. And I've been able, I mean, with my touring life, I toured on Bear in the Big Blue House live. I toured with Little Shop of Horrors with Marc, the first national tour. And then I've also toured with Walking with Dinosaurs and How to Train Your Dragon. So I've been able to go everywhere in the United States, Alaska, Hawaii, the continental United States, and then also out to Australia and New Zealand, which has been really amazing.
oh,
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's wonderful. So you also actually got to tour also for the Rugrats live. Can you talk a bit about that?
I did not tour for Rugrats Live. I did a little bit of work at a studio called Yvette Helene Studios. One of my when I first moved to New York, after I finished the Bear in the Big Blue House live tour, I moved to New York and got a job working in this costume character shop called Yvette Helene Studios. And we made some of the Rugrats Live characters, walk around characters. So that was my experience with Rugrats Live. Actually,
Nice.
both Marc had worked there in the past also, and Russell, one of the founding members. It's one of the places we all worked at before we started the company.
I think Scott even worked there briefly with us.
That's true. Yeah, almost all of us worked there.
Nice.
huh.
Nice. And I know you also both had also worked on a Saturday Night Live. What was that like?
We continue to work on there. We got lucky. That door actually opened because of Little Shop of Horrors. Bobby Moynihan had written a sketch, a Little Shop of Horrors
Oh.
sketch,
Oh,
that got cut literally at the 11th hour. But while we were up there, they were asking us, well, if you can build this, can you build that? Can you build one of those? And we're like, sure, we can build all these things. And they started calling us. And over the years, geez, hopefully the season will happen if the strike ends.
Yeah.
This will be our 9th season with them.
oh wow.
Wow.
Or 10th, maybe.
First season was we did the Little Shop sketch in season 40, but that was
this will be our 10th sketch,
Yeah.
or 10th season.
10th season.
Wow.
And now we're at the
Wow.
point where, it started off where we only worked on a couple episodes, and now we're at the point where we work on every episode, and we're up there every Saturday, and puppeteer more than half of the episodes. So
Oh wow, nice.
Wow.
it's wonderful.
Wow.
It's so much fun and so surreal to be like walking around backstage where Dan Aykroyd and Phil Hartman and Gilda Radner and all these amazing performers once trod.
Absolutely. So for you, Marc, you actually had the pleasure of working at Sesame Street for several years. How did that kind of like begin for you to work on that?
I worked over a couple seasons, but it was only a handful of days in each season. That was in part from the O'Neill Conference. I got to know Pam Arciero and Marty Robinson. Yeah, Pam is.
Yeah.
I can't say enough nice things about Pam. She's just one of the.
We can't either.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
also a previous guest. She's
Previous
wonderful.
guest.
That's great. Yeah, she's the godmother of puppetry.
Me
She's
and Pam been.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Both me and Pam been like, usually like next. So she's a wonderful person. Hey
yeah,
Pam, if you're
absolutely.
watching this.
Yes.
She and Marty and Matt Vogel and a couple other people gave me opportunities either when I visited or to audition to come in and fill in for days when they needed extra hands. So I got to perform one day. We were doing a bit at the Count's Castle. So I got to work with Jerry Nelson that day, which was wonderful. Another amazing human being. Um, yeah, it was only a couple days, and I feel super lucky that I got the chance because not a lot of people do. So
Nice.
Nope. Not a lot of people do it all. Didn't you guys also have Marty's wife? Yes, we did. Annie
Yes,
Evans.
Annie
Yes.
Evans. Yeah, we've interviewed her as well.
Who also made a cameo
Yeah.
appearance. I
Yes.
love that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, these guys. Yes,
Yeah.
you know about it. Of course I do. I've watched the episode with you. Fair enough. So for Mark, do you remember the first puppet you performed on Sesame Street?
yes, the first one I did was the violinist for the that Count's Castle sketch I was talking about. It was some jeepers, I can't remember the exact song, but it was something where the Count was up and singing and they had a whole band and they were like, here, trial by fire, you put on the lead violinist. And so I'm trying to not lip sync, but like sync the bow movement along with the pre-recorded track. And Noel was there that day, and I think maybe met Noel once briefly. And he didn't know me at all at that point. And he leans out from under the block he was under, and he's like, maybe tone down the realism. You're making the rest of us look bad. I was like, thank you, Noel. Then the next time I think I got to play a hungry little bird. There was an episode where, oh boy, I just blanked on her name. Shirley Jones from the Partridge Family.
Oh yeah.
Mom from the Partridge Family was playing Mother Goose, and she had her nursery school, but it was nursery rhyme school. And so Hansel and Gretel are out running along, and they're dropping breadcrumbs, and I played the little bird that would come behind them and eat up all the breadcrumbs so they couldn't find their way home.
Nice. And I know during your time on Sesame Street, you also got to work on the Christmas special, Elmo's Christmas Countdown. Do you remember what you did in that special?
Yes, I do. It was a forest scene where Jennifer Hudson was running through the forest singing Carol of the Bells, and
That's
there were
a
a bunch of
beautiful
us.
number.
Yeah, it's great. I was the beaver at the end there. There were all the woodland animals, and originally they had given me this tiny little bird puppet, like probably made from the same pattern as Robin, like the frog. So tiny, and I have relatively large hands. So I'm trying to put the bird on, and it's like it not fitting. And Matt's like, "What are you doing here? You switch with this person. You have the bigger beaver puppet, and this person you take the little bird puppet." So
Awesome.
Interesting. So on the subject of the Muppets, both of you got to perform briefly with the Muppets on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. Yes, Late Night. That's how far back we're going here.
Yes.
Before the Tonight Show. What was your experience like working with Jimmy Fallon?
It was very quick and pretty amazing. I mean, we were there as assistant puppeteers because they had this very large all the Muppets out in this one last scene. And we're waiting there to be divvied our puppet and not even sure who we were going to be puppeteering. And then ultimately they handed us the Swedish Chef so that Marc was on the head and I was on the hands. And then we do this large finishing number, which I'll let Marc continue the story because it was definitely a little bit stressful and crazy all at the same time.
I bet. I know which one you're talking about, though.
we originally, everybody else was, because they had all of the big Muppet performers there and all the people that are working on Bear in the Big Blue House and all these longtime professionals. And Mike and I are like third or fourth stringers, so we're like, well, we'll just be right-handing for whatever. And they're like, nope, you two guys handle the Swedish Chef. Good luck. So they set us up for the shot and we get in position. And then at the last minute, they're like, we're going to switch you to the edge of the shot. So we're kind of like coming in from the corner of the shot like this, leaning in. And we sing this last note and they didn't tell us, we thought it was a static shot. They didn't tell us that the camera would be moving. And we're all stationed in front of Jimmy Fallon and he's on a drum set, which is also on a riser. So he gets up and starts walking and we're like, oh, he's moving. So we kind of adjust our body to sit right. And then he steps down off the riser and the camera goes, boop. And all of a sudden you see, boop, my head as the camera pans across. So they continue the shot, which is him going to his new studio and they celebrate and they come back and they watch playback and they're like, great, that's a bye. Wrap, that's a wrap for the day. And in the meantime, I had leaned over to Bill Beretta, who we just met that day. I don't know Bill, I just met him and I'm like, my head was in that shot, Bill. He's like, don't worry, we'll fix it next time. They call a wrap, they call a bye, and he's like, there's a puppeteer's head in that shot, and they're like, we'll take care of it. So if you go back and watch that shot, there's a blur on Jimmy Fallon's crotch. That's my head as he's walking across.
Interesting. Wow.
I'm talking about bad placement.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a classic right there.
Yeah.
I think that was Jimmy Fallon's last late night show. Yes, it
Mhm.
was.
It was.
Before he moved to Tonight Show.
Yep.
I can't believe he's been doing almost a decade now. I know.
It's crazy.
I know it is. It is absolutely crazy. So for Marc, you worked on another children's series, Blues Room. Ah, yes, doing the puppetry for Silly Seat. Very, very short-lived on TV, I guess, right?
Yes, and my time on there was very short-lived. I was just brought in as a, hey, we need extra hands for one day. So I only did one day on that show. Again, Pam and Matt helped to get me in on that. So I'm very grateful. They opened a lot of doors for me.
Oh.
Yeah, Blues Room's a very good show. I've had the chance to rewatch some of the episodes on Paramount Plus. It's a very good show.
Absolutely amazing show.
You have one on V. Hey, Jake, you're alive. You have one on the VHS tape, right? Yes, I do. I do have one of the old tapes.
I actually do have a couple of DVDs too.
Started out as a show, then it was on like VHS, couple of VHS tapes, and then another season. Wow. Feeling old? Yes, I am. Thanks for noticing.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
Way to make your debut, Professor Brandon, making me feel old. That's the point. That's entirely the point.
So for you, Marco, you're also working on the Playhouse Disney series, Johnny and the Sprites. How did that come about for you to work on that?
Yeah, I think that was am good friends with this guy, Michael Schupach, and he, I think, was one of the puppet designers for the show, and they needed some extra hands in the props department. So I worked along with this guy, Mike Pantuso, I think, who is the props designer or head of the props department, and ended up building a bunch of like flower props, and some of them were more like proppets, how sometimes props are used as puppets and stuff like that. But I think it was a like a full month of pre-production when I was there in the studio helping get things set up for the shoot of the series. But it was mostly prop work on that one with a little bit of puppetry on the side here and there.
Nice. So for you, Marc, one of your most recent puppeteering projects was on the Fred Rogers biopic, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. What was it like kind of working with those puppets on that?
It was amazing. Spencer Townley-Lott, I don't know if you guys have talked with him yet.
Oh, yeah, I love Spencer.
Oh, yes.
Previous guest of ours, great guest.
He's goes with Michael
great
Schupach as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're wonderful. I actually met him at the O'Neill as well, way back when he was just a kid, and he's amazing. He and his wife got hired to make the puppets for that, and they made precise replicas of the original ones that Mr. Rogers had used on his show. And it was awesome because we shot in the studio in Pittsburgh where they actually shot the original Mr. Rogers show, and they built a replica of the set, but not just a replica of the front, but of the whole thing, because it was all behind the scenes. So the castle had all these irregular, joints and, messed up screws and whatnot, so it looked like a real used set instead of just being, a facade. And getting to be there and work with them and work with Matthew Rhys and Tom Hanks and just all of these amazing performers. It was surreal and wonderful.
Nice.
It is a wonderful biopic. Highly
Yeah.
recommend if anybody hasn't seen it yet.
Oh, it's amazing.
Very
Mariel Heller, who directed that, is an amazing director. She was just so good on set and just so great at eliciting performances. She also directed Can You Ever Forgive Me, which is a great drama with Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, nice.
Very
Nice.
nice, very nice. So you mentioned your introduction in 2006. You both co-founded Monkey Boys Productions. How was Monkey Boys kind of created? How did it come along?
Yeah, it was really just the child of lack of work. I mean, we kind of had high hopes that, we'll start our own company and we'll be able to control the work. And while that is basically what has happened at this point, it took 10 years for us to become a full-time company. So it took a while, but we got there. I guess we're dedicated.
Nice.
I'd say so.
Definitely. So through Monkey Boys, we also mentioned designing and building the puppets for the series Helpsters. What was it like getting to work on that?
It was a lot of fun. We our two main designers on that were Jeremy Holmes, who was a friend of mine since childhood, who's a wonderful children's book illustrator. If you're ever looking for really cool books for kids, check out his stuff. And Dan Cook, who's a friend of ours, who's a self-taught Muppet genius, can make Muppet style puppets out of, anything. The two of them worked with us to design the puppets, and we saw it through to the completion, and it seems like a great show. It was the brainchild of Tim McKeon, who also created what's the name of that?
Squad. What is it?
Odd Squad.
Odd Squad.
Oh,
Yeah.
Odd Squad, yeah.
Odd Squad,
yeah.
He created that and a bunch of other stuff. Fantastic creative
Oh,
mind.
wow.
And one of the wonderful, crazy things that we never thought would happen is we got an Emmy nomination out of that show for the design. Never thought our name would be mentioned
awesome.
amongst Emmys as puppeteers. So pretty sweet.
Nice.
That's wonderful. Didn't they just start the Children and Family Emmys this past year? Last year they did, yeah. Which is honestly that's really cool. That shows like that had their own Emmys. I find that really, really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like they finally included a puppets and puppetry category instead of bundling it all together with effects and costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Certainly a wonderful, wonderful thing that they've got going on. Now, going back to Sesame briefly here, you also created a stage puppet version of Velvet for Elmo the Musical live show at Sesame Place.
We did. That was a fun one.
Yeah, what was the kind of creative process behind building that?
I believe there may have been a connection through John Tartaglia. I think he was directing the show that was going into the theater, and they needed a Velvet version of that CG puppet, because in the show itself it was completely CG, even though it was puppeteered live in the show. With Leslie Carrera, I'm pretty sure, was that character. So they needed a version of it in real life. So that was a fun challenge that I got to do with one of our other fabricators at the time, Erica. Was to build this curtain that could talk with blinking eyes and then had a moving mouth, but also the mouth needed to be able to go ooh. So we added a fun mechanism where you would pull a trigger and it would make the lips pucker into that ooh shape. It was a lot of fun, and then I think we just refurbished it yet again, maybe like a year ago. So I believe they still incorporated into that show or a different show.
Nice.
That's great.
So speaking of live shows, you both worked on various Broadway and off-Broadway productions. Can you talk about some of your theater work?
Sure. One of my first, I guess my first off-Broadway show was The Long Christmas Ride Home, which was with Basil Twist. He created the puppets for that. And I got to do a bunch of different stuff with Basil on stage. We did Petrushka at Lincoln Center, Master Peter's Puppet Show there in Chicago, and obviously, like I mentioned before, Madama Butterfly at the Metropolitan Opera, Little Shop on Broadway, and on tour with Mike. I love doing live theater. It's a whole other animal, and to be able to get that immediate feedback and electricity from the crowd when you do stuff right is wonderful.
Absolutely.
And then as a company, we've built props or puppets for a multitude of different Broadway shows. Music Man, Amelie,
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
Little Shop of Horrors, clearly.
Funny Girl.
Thank you.
We've been doing a bunch lately.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just one or two props, but sometimes it's more involved, like Little Shop, obviously. By the way,
Saturday
Mr. Saturday Night. The Little Shop puppets we built for the most recent off-Broadway production were designed by Nicholas Mann, who's a internationally renowned puppet designer. He's designed for like the Olympics and all sorts of stuff. He's amazing and great to work with.
Nice.
That's great.
And you both also got to work on Seussical, the musical. What was that like?
So I think, again, back when I worked at Yvette Helene Studio, I worked on building some of the characters for that. And I think that's mostly when we worked on Seussical the musical, that's most of our experiences from when we were back at Yvette Helene Studios. Although we've more recently worked with the Dr. Seuss live experience, where we built a bunch of Dr. Seuss characters for that.
Yes.
Which is a touring live experience that you can go experience different Dr. Seuss books in 3 dimensions, pretty much.
It's
There's
like
different
immersive
rooms for different books. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I've
Speaking
seen
of Yvette,
photos. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. Working with Yvette was huge for all 4 of us because she's such an amazing builder and just such a great teacher. So it was great that we had that chance to get the experience. It's really paid off with our company.
Definitely.
I bet it has. Yeah, we've seen photos of it, and it is just amazing. Hopefully it'll come here.
Yes.
Hopefully it'll come here sometime. I hope.
Yeah, me too.
Hopefully, I'd love to see it. It'd be really cool. Now for Michael, you also worked on the Broadway production of the let me see if I can get this right. 3-time Tony Award-winning musical Avenue Q. Yes, 3-time. Well done. Thank you. What was it like working on that musical?
Yeah, so early on before we started the company, I worked at Rick Lyon's shop, actually jumping back a little farther in time, when Avenue Q was off Broadway at the Vine Street Theater, I was doing carpentry work. So I actually I was on the crew that built the Avenue Q set in the theater off Broadway. And then when they started to switch over to Broadway, I got a job at Rick Lyon's shop being one of the puppet builders. So then I worked building the puppets for Broadway. Our company has never built a set or built puppets for Avenue Q. It's been me individually, and I don't think Marc ever worked on it, but some of our other founding members, I believe, did. I think Scott Hitz and Russell Tucker both worked on it as well.
I think they both worked at Rick's place for those.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now I'm curious. I know we've kind of brought this up on the show before. Possibly the biggest Tony upset ever. Best musical? Oh yeah. 2004. Avenue Q beats Wicked. Your thoughts?
I kind of remember that.
I remember the surprise, and it was one of those like
Right.
Everybody thought it was like a Marissa Tomei thing where like somebody had switched the envelopes. But I've never gotten to see Wicked, so I have no idea, if it is better or if Avenue Q is better.
Yeah,
They're both good.
I remember
was so popular that
I remember we talked to Stephanie DeBruzzo about that, and she said that they were all like mind blown that Avenue Q beat Wicked.
Didn't you guys also talk to Jennifer Barnhart about that?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
She said
And Rick Lion?
Yeah.
did we talk to Rick Lion about the Tonys?
I feel like we did.
Did we?
Maybe.
I don't
I
remember.
think.
I know we talked to Jennifer Barnhart about it. She said like nobody thought Wicket was everybody thought Wicket was gonna win except for person who played Gary Coleman. Name's blanking on me. Oh, I forgot his name. But yeah, pretty much everybody, and it's crazy. I saw it again recently, the Tony Awards from '04, and I think on the big screen it actually said Best Musical Wicked, so they had to change it to Best Musical Avenue Q. That was
Oh,
like
wow.
Dope.
wow.
Yeah.
It's like a wide shot when everybody's going up there and accepting the award and all that. You'll see it's like a split screenshot there. You'll probably you folks will probably see it in post here. There it is. Best musical, Wicked. Must have shocked the world. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, Wicked was crazy popular that year. It's still on Broadway like 20 years later.
Yeah.
Crazy, absolutely crazy.
Definitely. So since we're kind of getting close to wrapping this up, so to anyone watching or listening, what would you like to say to those who have kind of supported you throughout your careers?
Boy, I'm just very grateful. I'm grateful that my parents didn't murder me when I decided to pursue puppetry. I'm grateful that
I know that feeling.
Yeah. I don't think we can hear you anymore, Marc.
I lost you. I don't know why. But I can talk and reiterate that we've had so many awesome opportunities that luckily we've been able to back up with our own talent or compiling awesome talent from the people that work with us here, because now we have about 30 employees that work with us. So, Monkey Boys, while it started as 4 people, it was a really small company for a long time, but now we definitely are a large team of people that are making awesome things happen. So it's a big thanks to all of them. I mean, my family, they were amazing to support me when I was saying puppetry, and it's definitely a team of people everywhere that helped us get to where we are now. And even people like you that are just interested in puppetry, that just learn stuff about us when we don't even know that you guys are learning stuff about us. It's pretty great to have fans out there that we might not even know about.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Means a lot.
I mean, to be fair, there's always something to learn about puppetry. You never stop learning.
Yeah.
True.
You always
Exactly.
Yes.
Definitely are. So if people would like to connect with either you or Monkey Boys Productions, where can people find you?
Yeah, Instagram or our website. So Monkey Boys Productions is our Instagram handle, I believe, and then our website is monkeyboysproductions.com. You can reach out to us through those channels. That's always going to be the best. You'll probably reach our production team before you reach us, but that's how you get to us nowadays. The other best way to follow us is we have, over the pandemic, we started a DIY puppet kit, do-it-yourself puppet kit
Nice.
package, so that if people are interested in learning how to make puppets, we actually put together about 95% of everything that you would need to make your own puppet in a little kit and mail it off to you. So you can go to, on our website, monkeyboysproductions.com, you'll see a DIY puppet kit link or store where you can pick from all the different furs and fabrics that we have and the different styles of puppets that you can make, and get all those materials shipped to your house.
Nice. And links to Monkey
Awesome.
Boy's website and socials will be in the description down below.
For anyone to connect.
Yes.
Yep.
So to end this off, the last question that Jake's about to ask is a question that we ask all of our guests at the end. Go ahead, Jake.
Yes, thank you, Chris. So, of course, this podcast is called Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. Hey, look at that. When you think of nostalgia, what do you think of, or in your own words, how would you define the word nostalgia?
Nostalgia is that warm feeling you get from memories. That love and magic that a memory can bring to you from something nice, whether it's, a hug from a grandparent or a fun show you watched or a toy you used to play with all the time. It's not always accurate, but that doesn't matter because it's usually a wonderful feeling, in my opinion.
Nice. Michael, what about you?
Yeah, I think a lot about anytime I rewatch lots of the movies I watched in my youth, Star Wars or Back to the Future. But then I also think of nostalgia as like when I eat certain meals that I had when I was a kid at my grandparents' house, very, very much like that. Go to certain places, even just going back to your high school or grade school or something like that. Those feelings that it brings up, like, oh wow, so many memories that you almost don't know how to deal with all the memories. So we just say nostalgia.
The smell of warm Italian bread
Oh yeah,
takes me back to
Yes.
Yes.
a very
Yes.
specific bakery. But
Definitely.
Yes. I think we were
Yes.
saying off.
Well, Marc and Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This was a blast.
Yes.
Thanks
thank
for
you.
having us.
Yeah, thanks for
Yes,
having
thank
us.
you
Good
very
fun,
much.
guys.
Yes,
Great
absolutely.
to meet all of you.
Nice
Yes,
to meet you
yes,
too.
likewise, and thank you
Yes,
so much,
likewise.
for what you both done, be a part of our lives, and keep up your great work.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot wait what's next for you, and of course the future of Monkey Boys Productions.
Yes.
as
Yes.
well.
Will do. Thank you, guys.
Yes,
Thank
keep
you
in
very
touch.
much.
I'll let you
Thank
guys
you.
know when this goes up.
Excellent.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Matt. Thanks, Jake.
Yep,
Bye.
See
you're
you later.
welcome.
Bye, guys.
See ya, guys. See ya.
Bye. It's goodbye
Yes,
from us as well, everyone.
Mhm.
We absolutely enjoyed our
Yes.
time with Marc Petrosino and Michael Latini.
Monkey
Their work on
Boys.
their work on Monkey Boys Productions is great. The puppets for
Yes.
Helpsters are beautiful, and
Yes. Wonderful
Oh
puppets.
yes.
the
Absolutely beautiful
the
puppets.
projects they've worked on separately, like Sesame Street, Johnny and the Sprites.
Saturday Night
um,
Live, assuming they have a season this season, right?
Yes. Brilliant team of
Uh,
puppeteers and
brilliant
puppet
team.
builders. But
Yes.
in the
yeah.
meantime, keep on the
Mhm.
lookout for wonderful interviews. Again, links to Monkey Boys will be in the description down below.
On Instagram and their website. Yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
to
Sure.
close us out, what do we say, Jake?
Keep nostalgia alive. Take care, everyone. See you next time. Take care. Bye.
Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another wonderful Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show interview. Be sure to follow Jake and the crew on social media and stream the show wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And as always, remember to keep nostalgia alive. Bye-bye.